All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving into Claer Barrett's incredible book, What They Don't Teach You About Money. Now, if you've ever felt like your finances are, a source of stress or just plain confusion, then you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down the key habits that can put you back in the driver's seat and on the path to financial independence. So let's kick things off with a pretty direct question right from the book. Are you good with money? And hey, before you start to squirm, if your answer isn't a super confident yes, well, join the club. Seriously. It's one of those questions that can make even the most successful people feel a little bit insecure. In this quote from the author, Claer Barrett really says it all. As a multi-award-winning financial journalist, believe me, she hears this stuff all the time. So the big takeaway here is this. If you feel anxious about money, you are not alone. It's totally normal, and we're about to figure out how to change that. So if pretty much everyone feels this way, why does money feel so, well, weird? The book argues it's not really about the spreadsheets and the numbers. It's actually much deeper than that. It's about our emotions. To truly get a handle on our money, we have to first understand our feelings about it. This brings us to the first major habit from the book. Try to be rational. See, our financial choices often get hijacked by these powerful feelings: fear, greed, even shame. And get this, a Cambridge University study found that our core attitudes about money are pretty much baked in by the time we're 7 years old. Not 17, 7. That means the money habits you have today might have started way back in your earliest childhood memories. Crazy, right? So how do these attitudes we formed as kids actually show up in our adult lives? Well, the book has this fantastic concept to help us figure it out: financial personalities. Now, this isn't about putting you in a box. It's really about recognizing patterns in our own behavior and, maybe just maybe, having a little laugh at ourselves. Okay, do any of these sound a little familiar? You've got your Spendy Wendy, who uses retail therapy as a pick-me-up. For them, a great first step is just waiting 24 hours before any non-essential purchase. Then there's the YOLO, always chasing the next big crypto craze. They could benefit from setting a strict budget for those risky plays and putting the rest in something, boring and reliable. The Goblin hoards cash but is terrified to make it grow. Their challenge? Start small. Invest a tiny amount you're comfortable losing. And the spreadsheet slave? So busy planning they forget to actually live. They need to literally schedule and budget for fun. Look, most of us are probably a mix of these, but just seeing the pattern is the first step to changing it. Let's look at two extremes just to see how this works. On one side, you have the Goblin. They see money purely as security. So yeah, they're great at saving, but their fear of investing means their money is actually losing value to inflation over time. And on the other side, the YOLO. They see money as power and status. They are super prone to get-rich-quick schemes, often hiding their losses. They seem like total opposites, right? But here's the thing. Both are making huge financial decisions based on powerful emotions, not logic. Okay, so recognizing your personality. That's the diagnosis. Now it's time for the prescription. The book lays out some incredibly simple but really powerful habits that anyone, and I mean anyone, can build to go from just reacting to your finances to actually being in control of them. And it really boils down to two key habits. First, being mindful with your money. This is not about depriving yourself, it's about being conscious of your spending and asking yourself why you're about to spend it. And second, separating and automating your finances. This, my friends, is the practical magic. It turns your good intentions into reality by putting them on autopilot, so you don't have to rely on willpower, which we all know runs out. Let's dig into that mindfulness thing with the biggest trap of all, this idea of spending to save. You know the feeling. You see a jacket for 100 quid, but then you find a 20% off code. You feel like you just saved 20 quid, right? Nope, you just spent 80. Retailers are absolute masters at using the psychology of discounts to give us that little rush and trick us into spending money we probably would have just kept in our pockets. And this leads to my favorite piece of advice from the author's dad, which is just brilliant. If you don't buy it, you get 100% off. It's so simple and funny, but it completely cuts through all the marketing hype and forces you to ask that one crucial question. Do I really, truly need this, or am I just tempted by the sale? Now for that second habit, automation. The most powerful way to do this is to pay yourself first. Here's what that means. The second your salary hits your account, before you pay bills, before you buy groceries, before anything else, an automatic transfer whisks a chunk of money away into separate savings or investment accounts. By separating the money for your goals and automating the whole process, you make saving the default. It's an amazing decision you only have to make one time. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the single biggest obstacle to financial independence, the debt trap. I'm talking specifically about that high-interest consumer debt from things like credit cards and store cards. This is where a lack of mindfulness can cost you an absolute fortune and keep you stuck for decades.
The book offers this simple but incredibly powerful psychological trick. Stop calling them credit cards and start calling them debt cards. Think about it. The word credit sounds positive, right? Like a reward you've earned. But debt, well, that sounds like what it actually is, a burden. This simple language change can shift your entire perspective. You stop thinking about your credit limit and you start thinking about your debt limit.
To see just how dangerous these debt cards can be, let's run a quick scenario. Imagine you're 21. You put $3,000 on a typical credit card for something important. And then you do what the card company makes it super easy to do. You only pay the minimum required amount each month. So go on, take a guess. How much do you think you'll end up paying back in total?
The answer is just staggering, £7,750. That's more than 2.5 times what you borrowed in the first place. But honestly, it gets worse. It would take you 28 years to clear that debt. You'd be almost 50 years old, still paying for something you bought when you were 21. That is the brutal, brutal power of compound interest working against you.
But this slide also shows you the way out of the trap. Just take a second and look at these numbers. By paying a fixed 80 quid a month instead of that tempting minimum payment, you slash the repayment time from 28 years down to just 5. That one little change saves you over £3,000 in interest. Now, look at the bottom row. If you can find a way to pay $240 a month, you are debt-free in just over a year, and you've saved over $4,000. This proves that aggressively paying down high-interest debt is one of the best, most guaranteed investments you could ever possibly make. So how do we pull all of this together to build a real, secure financial future? We've looked at our emotional connection to money, we've identified our financial personalities, and we've stared into the abyss of the debt trap. Now, let's just nail down the key actions you can take, starting today.
Here's the bottom line. Getting good with money is not about being a math whiz. It's about building a few simple, effective systems. First, just acknowledge that money is emotional and get to know your financial personality. Second, be mindful. A great tip here is to focus your money only on your needs and your loves, not just fleeting likes and wants. Third, make saving easy on yourself. Separate your money and automate your goals. And finally, treat high-interest debt like the emergency it is and make a rock-solid plan to get rid of it as fast as you can.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. This isn't about changing your entire life overnight. It's about taking one small, decisive step. So, what is one little thing you can automate right now, today, to start paying yourself first? Maybe it's setting up a 20 quid monthly transfer to a savings account. Maybe it's just turning on the Roundup feature in your banking app. Whatever it is, the journey to financial independence starts with that one single automated step.